The Knockouts Division has always been one of the things that helps TNA stand out. Over the years, it's become one of the biggest names in women's professional wrestling, with legends like Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, Mickie James, Jordynne Grace, and so many more help establishing its legacy. But recently, things have started to change. With several knockouts leaving the company in just a short period of time, many fans begin wondering what's next for the division. Then, Fightful Select reported that TNA was actively looking to rebuild its roster, and it didn't take long for the wrestling world to notice. Almost immediately, wrestlers from all over the independent scene, and even a few familiar faces, started throwing their names in the conversation. Let's look at 15 signings TNA could make to rebuild its Knockouts division. So let's hit that intro and get into it.
I spit raps like a heart attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars, in fact I blast tasteful bars and pass, I back up my actions, fact don't ask.
Let's start with the proven veterans. These are the women who have already built solid careers for themselves. They've got the experience, they performed on television, and they know what it takes to contribute from day one. If TNA wants to rebuild the Knockouts division quickly, this is where the search should start. Let's start with Leva Bates. Bates is one of those names a lot of wrestling fans already know, whether from her time in NXT as Blue Pants, or even in AEW as one of the librarians. What makes Leva so interesting isn't just where she's been. She's spent years wrestling all over the independent scene, and that experience makes her one of the more dependable veterans available. She knows how to wrestle, she understands how television works, and she's the kind of person who can help elevate the women around her. And for a Knockouts division that's looking to rebuild, that's incredibly valuable. Next up is Princess Aussie, also known as Simone Williams. Princess Aussie has built a strong reputation for herself both in WoW Women of Wrestling and on the independent scene. She has spent years wrestling across different promotions, building up her resume while continuing to improve. She might not be the flashiest name on this list, but that's exactly why this pick makes so much sense. She's got plenty of experience, she's already proved what she can do on television, and she'd come into TNA ready to go right away. And rounding out this category is another WoW Women of Wrestling standout, Penelope Pink. Penelope has become one of the bigger names in WoW. She's won the world title twice and is a former tag champion. But it doesn't end there. You may also know her as Marina Tucker, and she's been wrestling under that name for well over a decade, working independent promotions throughout Florida and the Southeast. When you put all that together, Pink is someone who spent years earning her way to this point. Maybe TNA is the place where she finally gets to take that next step. What she needs now is a bigger stage to prove that she belongs. Let's move on to the rising names in this list. These are women who might not have national exposure as some of the veterans we just talked about, but they've been putting in the work, building their resumes, and getting closer to that next big opportunity. For TNA, these are the kind of signings that could pay off not just today, but for years to come. We're kicking off this section with Casey Lennox. Casey is a Florida-based independent wrestler who's been doing this now for about 10 years, working her way through Florida and other promotions around the country. But despite all that experience, she's never really gotten a chance to show what she can do in front of a national audience. And we already know she's interested. When Fightful put out that report about TNA looking for new talent in the Knockouts division, Lennox was one of the women who responded and threw her name into that mix. She's already got the experience, she just hasn't got the exposure. Maybe TNA can finally be the place that gives her that chance. Next up is Janie Hartman. Janie is still pretty early into her career, but she's already started getting some attention throughout her work in OVW. And unlike some of the other names we've talked about, she already has some television experience under her belt. What makes Janie even more interesting is the relationship that's starting to form between TNA and OVW. The two companies have been working towards a partnership, with OVW potentially becoming a place where TNA can develop and scout new talent. And if TNA is looking at their roster for future knockouts, Hartman is definitely a name worth watching. She's got plenty of room to grow, but that's the point. TNA wouldn't bring her in for what she is right now. They'd be investing on what she could become. Sticking with OVW, another name TNA should be paying attention to is the lovely Miss Larkin. Unlike Janie, Larkin has also built up a resume outside of OVW. She spent time in the independent scene, gaining experience from different promotions against a wide variety of opponents. So while the new relationship between TNA and OVW gives them an easy way to get a closer look at her, they're not just looking at someone who's only worked in one system. And apparently the interest might go both ways. Larkin was also one of the women who responded in the Fightful report that came out about TNA looking to rebuild their division. So you got someone who's already on TNA's doorstep through OVW, has experience outside of OVW, and has made it pretty clear she'd be interested in going to TNA. If TNA likes what they see, this one might not be that complicated. And rounding out the rising names is probably the most recognizable woman in this category, Hollywood Haley J. A lot of you probably first got to know Haley from the Netflix series Wrestlers, where she quickly became one of the standouts on that show. But there's a lot more to Haley than that. She's been one of the bigger names in OVW. She's wrestled in WoW as Holly Swag, as a 2-time tag champion, and she's even stepped into the Power Slap arena and has gotten some attention there. So even if you don't follow the independent scene, there's a good chance you've seen Haley somewhere. But despite all that, she's never really got the opportunity with a major wrestling company. And she's only 26 years old. So TNA could be getting somebody who's already got a bit of a name, still has plenty of time to improve, and most importantly, she knows how to get people talking. Now let's get into the wild cards. These are the names that might surprise some people. They're not the biggest names on the list, and some of them you might have never ever heard of. But sometimes the best signings are the ones no one sees coming. These could end up being the biggest steals if TNA is willing to take a chance on them. Our first deep dive is Izzy Moreno. Although some of you might actually remember Izzy from way before she ever stepped into the ring. As a kid, Izzy became well known to the NXT fans as the Bayley superfan who constantly showed up in the crowd during Bayley's run in the company. Fast forward a few years, now Izzy is a wrestler herself. She made her debut in 2023 and has been building a pretty impressive resume on the indies, including winning championships in Mission Pro Wrestling, Atomic Legacy Pro Wrestling. She's even got a little taste of WWE again, competing in a couple of WWE ID showcase matches, despite not actually being a part of the WWE ID program. And you want to know the crazy part? She's only 19 years old. She's already gone from being a kid sitting in the crowd of NXT to winning championships herself. Imagine where she could be 5 years from now with the right people around her. With Angel Metro. If you've never heard of Angel Metro, don't worry, you're probably not alone. After seeing what the offer on the indie scene, she's earned a spot on this list. Angel only made her debut in 2022, but she's been making up for lost time ever since then. She's already picked up championships, wrestled for several promotions, and isn't afraid to step into just about any type of match. Whether it's a traditional match, hardcore, death matches, or even intergender matches, she's the kind of wrestler who's always looking to challenge herself. Then there's Riley Crow. Riley's been at this a little longer. She's built a reputation as a physical, hard-hitting wrestler, and she's just as comfortable in a singles match as she is in a tag match. And there's the twist. Put Angel and Riley together, you've got the Riot Act. An established independent tag team that's already built chemistry together while still giving TNA two wrestlers who can easily stand on their own. So if TNA signed both of them, They wouldn't just be adding 2 new names to the Knockouts division, they'd also be giving the tag division another established team that could help fill the void left by Jody Threat and Danny Luna. And that's exactly the kind of move that can quietly make the entire women's division stronger. If you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with a friend, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything we put out. And while you're down there, let us know in the comments, who do you think TNA should sign to help rebuild this division? Now let's get into the headliners. These are the biggest names on this list. Women who could walk into TNA tomorrow and immediately become major players in the Knockouts division. Whether it's championship experience, name recognition, or simply what they bring to the table. These are names that can make an immediate impact. Let's kick it off with Dakota Kai. Out of everybody on this list, Dakota Kai makes the most sense. She's done a lot during her time in WWE. As a part of Damage Control, she competed at WrestleMania. And over the course of her time there, she's captured both the NXT and WWE Women's Tag Team titles. So there's no question she could make her mark the second she walks through those doors. She could slide right into the Knockouts title picture and nobody would question it, not even bat an eye. And now, imagine giving her a fresh roster, new opponents, and a chance to become one of the faces of the Knockouts division. Next up, Aaliyah. If there's one name on this list that still has something to prove, it's Aaliyah. She spent years working her way through NXT before finally making it to the main roster, where she went on to become a women's tag team champion. But just when things felt like they were starting to come together, it never really did. Aaliyah was never given much of a chance to build any real momentum before disappearing. And you can't help but wonder what would have happened if she'd been given that opportunity. And that's where TNA comes in. Over the year, TNA has become the place where wrestlers get a second chance to show what they can really do. And she fits this mold perfectly. She's already got the name recognition. Now she just needs a company to let her show everyone what she's capable of. And this brings us to our final category, the missed opportunities. These are women, for some reason or another, just haven't gotten an opportunity. Whether it was through LFG or the WWID program. They've already shown enough to get people's attention. Now the question is, does TNA capitalize before someone else does? Let's kick it off with Pinky Montoya. If you watched LFG, pretty good chance you already know this name. Although back then she was competing under the name Paige Jamison. And if you watch the show, you'll probably remember Bully Ray being one of her biggest supporters throughout the competition. When you've got someone with his experience seeing that kind of potential in you, other people should probably pay attention. Pinky has the personality, the confidence, and every time she steps on the screen, she's made the most of the opportunity. Now it's just a matter of finding the right place to keep growing, and TNA could be that place. She'd have a chance to learn while giving TNA another talent they could develop for the future. Now we have Sirena Linton. And just like Pinky, Sirena made her name on LFG. But what really stood out was how consistent she was throughout the competition. She kept getting better, looked more comfortable every week. By the end of her time on the show, it felt like she had really found her footing. Sometimes, that's all you can ask from a young wrestler. You want to see improvement, and Sirena showed plenty of it. TNA could be a great place for her to continue to build that momentum and develop into a really solid addition. And wrapping up our list, we have Veronica West. Some of you might remember her as Veronica Haven from that cup of tea she had in the WWE ID program and on Evolve. Since then, she's reintroduced herself as Veronica West as she begins the next chapter of her career. You might have noticed she was also one of the women who responded to the Fightful report about TNA rebuilding the division. So we already know she's interested in that opportunity. West feels like someone with a lot to prove. She's starting a new chapter in her career, she's looking to build her own name, and TNA could be the perfect place to do that. Sometimes all a wrestler needs is the right opportunity at the right time, and Veronica West feels like someone who's ready to make the most of it. And that's the list of 15 signings TNA should make to help rebuild the Knockouts division. Now let's hear from you. Who do you think TNA should sign? Did anyone get left off this list? Remember, if you enjoyed the video, like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again.
Watch out, cause I'm here now and I'm staying.